This is my review of the BlackBerry Passport. The BlackBerry Passport is the most powerful device coming out from BlackBerry themselves. It features a quad-core, 3 GB of RAM, 13 megapixel camera, 3450 mAh battery life, and it features a touch-enabled QWERTY keyboard on the front of the device. The design of the BlackBerry Passport is actually something that's really simple and really beautiful. It carries an I-beam design which goes through and through the entire body. To the back of the device features a soft touch plastic feel, which feels really nice in the hand, but once your hand starts to get sweaty or greasy, it leaves marks and it covers the lens as well. It also carries this nice beautiful accent that goes through and through the entire device, including the camera lens and camera mount. To the side of the device, when you look at it, it's really thin and it feels really great in the hand. It's quite usable and quite manageable with one hand, but typing with one hand is very difficult. Now, if you were to look at the stainless steel body, you could actually see it's flat on the surface, but it's gently sloping to the back of the phone and to the screen, and that's called chamfered edges. And it's chamfered on both sides, so it feels really great in the hand, and it's not that unbearable to use and to hold with one hand. It's really nice. One problem with the BlackBerry Passport is typing with one hand. It's very difficult to do, and the typing experience is not that good when you think about it. So you definitely need to use two hands when you're taking a picture or even typing. Taking a picture with one hand often leaves the camera to get a little wobbly and shaky. The BlackBerry Passport runs OS 10.3.0.908, which is the newest version that's available for the BlackBerry Passport. This version, however, it doesn't feel like it's well optimized for the Passport. It doesn't feel that way at all, and it feels like a lot of things need to be done to the BlackBerry Passport to make use of that beautiful hardware that it has, that quad-core power and 3 GB of RAM. It doesn't even use any of that, and it feels as the experience that you get from the BlackBerry Passport is very marginal, or even so small that coming from the BlackBerry Q10 or the Z30, you don't notice that big of a difference when using the software. To the front of the BlackBerry Passport has a 4.5-inch display, which features a 1440 by 1440 resolution. The BlackBerry Passport has a 458 ppi, which makes colors look really beautiful on this device. Some might say it's a little oversaturated, but you could always go with a little oversaturated screen. That's never a problem. Colors really pop out from the screen. The viewing angles is quite wide and it's very nice to use in the sunlight. It is very rich and vibrant. It also has a Gorilla Glass 3 screen protector on it. As I showed you, I can scratch it with even a pen or even a freaking knife, and you have absolutely no problem with that. One problem that many Passport owners will find is with the screen size. It has this 1:1 dimension, which cuts out a lot of the images on Netflix itself, and swiping down to zoom out or zoom in into the screen doesn't really fix this problem that you see. Additionally, so when watching videos on the BlackBerry 10 browser, you could actually see these giant, thick black bars on the top and the bottom of the device, which gives the video a trailer-like experience. If you love watching trailers for every single video, you would definitely not have a problem using the BlackBerry Passport. But for me, I don't like the trailer look. I don't like stuff being cut out from my Netflix while I'm viewing it. And that's a real letdown, because at the base of the device on the BlackBerry Passport has these beautiful dual speakers at the bottom of the device, which are really loud. You will never miss an alarm again. Loudspeaker was really loud, it was quite clear, and the thing about it is the Passport speakers are amazing. On the front of the BlackBerry Passport, it has a BlackBerry iconic QWERTY keyboard, which does a really good job. The keys are larger, it's softer, it's a lot nicer on your finger. At the end of the day, you don't have any pain with your thumb or your wrist. It does not hurt. You cannot type with one hand on the BlackBerry Passport keyboard unless you do this, which isn't really, you know, that good to type with. But you definitely need to use your two hands for this device. So besides the 3 physical rows that you see here, there's one virtual row that's right there. Most of the time it has the punctuations that you're most used to, such as a comma, full stop, exclamation mark, and a question mark if you ever need it. The problem with this virtual keyboard is, comparing it to previous BlackBerry 10 devices, such as the BlackBerry Q10, what you would notice, there was an Alt key and a symbol key key and that fourth row with that nice big and long spacebar that was really nicely raised and pronounced. All of that has been wiped out from the BlackBerry Passport keyboard. The spacebar is just 2 rows now versus the 3 rows that it had before, you know, the V and the W plus half of the C and the half of the N, as you guys can see. That has been gone, and it's now just simply 2 letters in size, the G and the H. Now they removed the Alt key and the secondary functions for each key. So previously, just to access the number 7, all you had to do was hit Alt and 7, and it's a lot faster. Now what you got to do with the BlackBerry Passport keyboard is either you press this button right here, or you swipe down on the keyboard to reveal the 7. And then you have to use, well, you could use your one hand, but it's really difficult because doing it with one hand is quite difficult to do, so you just have to just hit the 7 after. For me, it's not as efficient as the previous BlackBerry 10 keyboard, and quite frankly, I'm not a fan of the QWERTY keyboard. I'm just not a fan of it at all. Also as well, to get the symbols, you just have to swipe down again to just get those symbols key, such as, you know, the plus minus sign or the division sign or even the money sign if you so require. So what BlackBerry has done was basically remove 1 row of the physical keyboard, which in my opinion was the best thing ever, the best QWERTY keyboard, and now they've made it 3 rows plus 3 virtual rows plus another 3 virtual rows. So basically they added 3 more virtual rows to your BlackBerry screen, and that's not very efficient because you have to take your key, you have to take your thumbs off the keyboard to actually go and press these virtual keys. That is not efficient, and no other QWERTY keyboard has done that. Not even touchscreen does that as well. They usually just have it as a secondary function. So BlackBerry should stop with this and go back to their 4-row keyboard that they were known for and good for, and keep that touch-enabled sensitivity. Another problem with the QWERTY keyboard is when you swipe up, because in the BlackBerry Passport it has predictive text. So if you were to write the brown fox, you could see fox appear. So you just swipe up. So you guys could see the fox appear, right? So you just swipe up with your thumb and you just get it, right? But the problem with that is occasionally, if you have really big thumbs, you actually hit buttons right here and you quickly exit the app. So that's a problem with the QWERTY keyboard. So I know what you're going to say. You're going to basically say, well, you could look at the virtual row and then hit the physical button to actually get the button that you want. So technically you don't have to leave the keyboard at all. And that is quite true. You could do that. It requires you to move your eyes from the actual keyboard to the screen and back again to the keyboard. And that sort of slows you down. And I know what you're going to say to that as well. You know, over time you're going to get an expert, or you're going to get better and better at it. And that's quite true. You are right. You are right for saying that. For me, at the time of this review, it's about 4 weeks now, and that's quite a lot of time to adapt to a new keyboard. Usually with BlackBerry 10 devices before, 2 days, maybe even 3 days for the most, you'd take to get used to the keyboard, and this is just not the case for the BlackBerry Passport. Now let's talk about the BlackBerry battery life on the Passport. It features 3,450 mAh battery life, which gives you roughly 24 to 36 hours depending on your usage. So if you're just a person who just receive call and just send text, you might be able to get even up to 3 days of battery life on this device. However, some days I actually left my phone with about 57% battery life and went out, and I came back home and there was about 7% battery remaining on the device. So the battery life is definitely a really good thing. It's a really big battery life. To charge a BlackBerry Passport battery, it takes about 2 hours and 43 minutes, so roughly about let's say approximately 3 hours to charge a battery life from 0 to 100%. So it definitely takes a long while to charge that big battery. However, you could be able to get about a full day usage with even 60%, and that's a really good thing. My next big problem with the BlackBerry Passport is this 13 megapixel camera. It does have optical image stabilization, which is basically done with hardware, so no matter how shaky your video is or how bumpy your car ride is, you could get pretty smooth video from this camera. Now the problem with it is not that it's bad at taking pictures, it's just the software that BlackBerry 10.3 has on it is just not that good. OS 10.3, they need to improve upon the software. If you're standing from 6 feet to 10 feet from your subject, you would take really beautiful pictures. If you're taking taking like a really good landscape shot, no problem at all. But if you're taking a really close-up photo with the BlackBerry Passport, like right now, you just tap to focus, and what happens, it actually misses that focus and sometimes keeps on focusing on that region, which is really sad. And then the focus after you take the picture, like I'm going to take right now, and that's in focus by the way, when I take the picture, if you were to look at it, I'm going to try to zoom in so maybe you guys could see it, or I'll put it in the review. You can actually see the focus is actually quite soft. It's actually really soft. I'm going to move it off just so you guys can see. The focus is actually really soft on the actual image, and that's not a good thing. I want a really sharp image from this 13 megapixel camera that the BlackBerry Passport has. Again, look how slow it is. So I'm going to focus in on the ports right there, and there's a lot of light here. So, and it's still kind of blurry. It's really blurry. I'm going to show you that picture as well. So the second thing about this camera is if you're in low light, as I'm probably going to do now, if you were to even try to take this out in low light, the picture automatically goes really grainy, and that's normal for any camera. But if you were trying to zoom in on one particular location, like right now, it doesn't get that focus, and that's because it has a low light. It's not very capable at low light. Not even focusing on the BlackBerry Passport is that sharp. You can see it's hunting on its own without me even touching it. So let's focusing on the camera lens, and let's see if we could get that. You can see it's kind of sharp. I'm going to take the picture. It's kind of sharp, but if you were to actually look at this picture right now, you'd actually see that it's sort of like not that sharp at all with the camera lens, and it's sort of like smooth. So that's my biggest gripe about the BlackBerry Passport camera. The Passport camera works really great when you want, but other than that, it doesn't work that good. It takes a lot of really bad shots before you actually get a really good shot from the Passport's camera. Now, if you were to look for the app called Instagram from Instagram themselves, not a client or any of that stuff, you would quickly notice that it's not available in the BlackBerry world. And if you were to go to the Amazon App Store and look for Instagram as well, there isn't the actual Instagram version. There's clients as well. So if you look for the Instagram app, it's not there. There's still an app gap present with the BlackBerry Passport, but it's not that big. So I highly suggest you sideload something called Snap App Store. I have a video on how to do that for your BlackBerry Passport, so definitely go look at it. And if you type in Instagram on Snap, what you'd quickly notice is the very first one is Instagram, the actual Instagram version that you use. So you just simply download the update whether or not you need it, or just download the app on the whole. So another thing about the apps on the BlackBerry Passport is if you're planning to use it for Google services, it's not that good at running Google services. If you use Google Keep like I do, or if you use YouTube a lot, or if you use any of the native Google Creator apps and stuff like that, it doesn't work that well. However, Google Maps and Google Chrome does work, but you can't really log into the accounts because they require the Google services, which BlackBerry does not support at the moment. Will BlackBerry ever support it? I don't know. So in conclusion about the BlackBerry Passport, it's a really beautiful device. Once you go with a really nice big screen, you're never going back to a small screen on BlackBerry 10, and that's just fact. It's the most difficult thing to go from this to go back to this, because this nailed the keyboard. This device nailed the keyboard. This one, the keyboard is nailed, but it's not nailed for me. The BlackBerry Passport feels a bit premature, like it's 4 to 6 months before being something great. I feel as though they sort of just like launched this or let it release before its actual release date, and that's the feeling that I get from the BlackBerry Passport. It's a really good device, but it's just not at its potential right now. Eventually it's going to get all the software updates and tweaks and stuff like that, but if a company releases a phone, whether it be Apple, Android, or even BlackBerry or Windows Phone, I expect the device to be nailing all of the hardware that it supports. And quite frankly, the BlackBerry Passport isn't doing that. It has a quad-core power, and it's just not translating that quad-core power into the actual user experience. And BlackBerry Passport is very fast. It's very fast. But, you know, opening Android applications and installing Android applications still does take a lot of time, and it's like jumping through loops. And that's a problem that I have with the BlackBerry Passport. For me, the BlackBerry Passport was a device that just left the start line before the race has even begun. And that's a really bad thing, because this could only either hurt BlackBerry or help BlackBerry. And this is a device that is meant for the enterprise user, not the regular consumer. That's something that you should know. But if you're trying to use it as a consumer device, it is possible. Expect to jump through a lot of hoops with the BlackBerry Passport. It's just a BlackBerry device that's trying something new. I'll see you guys in the next video. I do hope you enjoyed this quick review. See you guys later. Bye.